I actually don't have wax in my ears. I've always amazed the doctors when I was a kid. Nothing.
New fact about Josh. He never has had wax in his ears.
Head wax.
I mean, everybody's got some wax, but
You just said you don't.
I actually don't have wax in my ears.
How about now? Is that still true?
Welcome to another episode of Use Your Words Podcast. I got No Wax Brewer here along with Mr. Aaron Johnson. We're recording in a different location. We're recording in Aaron's basement, actually.
Again. Well,
no, this is the first time we recorded podcast audio only. We've recorded the video stuff, and we're going to record in our video session today as well, which Aaron is going to learn how to edit.
Oh no.
You're on the block fully for editing this one. I am not going to touch this one edit wise.
You're not gonna help me?
I'll help you,
Okay.
but I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
Oh, did you bring like...
Wow.
Already hitting my new computer. Thank you.
Sorry.
Wow.
Are you like planning to stay the night or something?
No.
Probably
How do you expect him to edit an episode in one night?
not adding it tonight?
No. The video
Idiot.
the video episode will be put out at some point in the future.
So you're gonna give him how long to edit it before it can get put out there?
As long as he needs. I'm going to motivate
year.
him and encourage him in multiple
2021.
ways to do this.
So
And I'm going to provide the tooling to do this as well. This
But-
isn't he lives alone in an island castle and please come rescue me. I'm a princess that is ugly with a beard.
Hey.
you're gonna really need to do a lot of motivation because he's gonna get halfway through and he's gonna
excited.
quit on himself, and then is gonna get.
This is how I
Untouched.
know he will be motivated. He gets to buy some software.
Oh, you right though.
Wait, hang on.
I know how to motivate Aaron.
Yes, to buy, but to keep him. Well, let's put it like this: Aaron is like a puppy. Okay, you can
Go
buy him a
on.
new toy. He's enticed by the toy for a few days, and then he gets bored because he gives all of his attention to that toy. So to keep him enticed, you have to take it and you have to shake it in front of his face to make him go, "Oh, hey, it's alive. Let me kill it."
What?
And like your puppy, he'll listen to me more than you.
Which explains why you'd be it would explain why you'd be such a better parent. He can just see the death in your eyes.
So
Nice.
what that is in reference to is Josh and his wife Amy brought their dog to youth group one night, and Amy started calling for the dog, and then I called afterwards, and the dog came to me instead. On the second time meeting their dog,
Yep.
you've had your dog for how long now? And I just go, Scout, come here, and all of a sudden, like, doo-doo-doo, look who comes over to me instead of to you two who feed it, bathe it, water it, give it toys and love and affection.
Yeah, he probably just fears you.
Good.
Which is good.
He should.
Yes.
I know how to handle dogs. Hence how I can motivate Aaron.
Exactly what I was saying. He's like a puppy.
Well,
More like a 5-year-old with
I
ADHD.
don't know which one I like better at this point.
And all this is relevant and on topic because today we're talking about motivation, which is a little. I was surprised and pleased both at the same time that Aaron brought this topic up because, to be frank and honest, and to see how Aaron's reaction is, sometimes I feel, Aaron, as though
Oh,
like
no.
motivation has to be like thrust upon you with like a 2-ton
does.
hammer
It
to get you to
does.
do something. Because
It
like you,
does.
and don't take this the wrong way. Okay, don't take this the wrong way.
He already has.
Yeah, I know. He's already crossing his arms. If I had the video component going right now, you would see this. So sometimes you get started on a project and you're all gung-ho about it at the start. I'm thinking of one particular project,
Ooh, now I'm curious. Oh.
It's like any project.
worship night.
Uh-huh. Hey, we did get well, okay, granted it was different people, but one did end up happening years later.
Yeah. But you're all gung-ho. You're like, I want to drive this. I want to push it. I want to do this. And then nothing.
Then
It's like
then
it's
more
like
work comes
it's
in,
like it's like a train going along like 100 miles per hour, and then something happens and it's completely derails.
like Yeah.
It's gone. It's off the rails 100%. And I don't know why sometimes. And I'm not like going, Johnson, you should feel bad. Because
Some of it I do.
to be fair, you take at least a little bit longer to derail than someone I'm pointing at that's in this room as well besides us.
We'll talk about that later. But
Remember, ADHD does not exist.
Not. No.
Um,
What are you buying right now, though?
Yeah, what are you buying right now? That should be the new segment. What is Josh buying this week?
I'm looking at LED bulbs.
See?
It's always something. It is always something.
We need to get like these vendors to sponsor because, oh my goodness, Josh is always buying something every single episode. And the thing, and the secret is, we'll record like 4 episodes a week, at a time.
Yeah.
And Josh is buying something every episode.
Not buying, doing research
True. No.
to buy
shopping.
something.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Shop-
mean, you're still shopping.
He's shopping.
window shopping. Let's call it that. Window shopping.
Virtual window shop.
There you go.
Hi.
So this week's episode is sponsored by Sealight H11 LED headlight bulbs. I'm just kidding. Scratch that. I had
Amy needs to let you wear the pants more often.
Anyways, worship night.
Well, no, we're done with
Derailed.
that.
Okay. But yes, Josh does tend to need some motivation to
Don't we all?
stop window shopping as much and stay in reality here with us. But
Yeah.
regardless of the fact. So motivation. And Josh was like, well, what type of motivation do we want to talk about? Because there's this motivation, this motivation, this motivation, this motivation, this motivation. Motivation in generalish. So what are things, let me ask this first off to both of you. What are things that you have found help keep you motivated? Go on.
Oh, well, you already said one.
What that helps keep
Software.
so buying things.
to a point. Yeah, that. I guess it depends on what it is. I guess I don't know. Ugh. Hate looking around the room and seeing. Well, as Josh talks, I'll get something, get bored of it, and then I'll get something else, and then get bored of it. But all my guitars, I like all my guitars.
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
get bored of
your
those.
guitars are
And then, I mean, as far as drums go, see, those are 2 things that I haven't given up on yet. But that's like 2 things.
2 things. What else around here have you given up on?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, let's see here.
You guys.
Ooh. Okay. Let's see here. You have the Millennium Falcon upstairs. It's in the half completed state.
I see. That's my nephew.
From what? 1 or 2 years ago?
1.
Are you sure?
No, 2. It's gonna
That's
be going
2.
on 2. It's
Yeah.
gonna be 2 years in December.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I see the steering wheel. I see the books. I see the A+
What books?
certification.
Oh,
I
I
see.
like how you picked out that one. Gosh, this is getting too personal now. No, yeah. Well, okay. So getting into that, yeah. Books. Steering wheel. I just gotta find a good way to set that up. I don't have anything good to set that up.
You need some wood.
I do creaky floors.
Hey, you know what? Floors are floors. Things happen. Everywhere
what-
is going to have its own type of noise.
I'm gonna say what you need to do with that steering wheel is you need to build like a one of those like couch trays, but it's built around that.
No,
So then
Elmo.
you can just pull it up to your couch, and when you're not using it, you just right up against the wall.
So I guess so then here's a question.
Yeah.
So getting to granted, okay, the steering wheel is not important to you. Some of the books more so would have been important to get into more. But obviously, aka A plus.
Yeah.
I didn't do too much of that.
Nope.
So yeah, that one for sure motivation. Steering wheel was more just a matter of convenience, and I used it a few times. Probably don't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, but it's fun. I don't know. It'd be. It's a better thing to do with friends, not just sitting on my own. Because then I suck at it, and I cannot control my car while driving with it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, what?
What was your question though?
Oh, I mean, it's gonna be like, where do you put the line on? Either is it motivation that's the problem, or is it one just getting too busy with other stuff where you lose time for that one thing? Because I mean, I guess like for another thing is I want to. Well, granted, that's a huge project, but like redo the basement.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much I want to remove all of my music gear, get on that side of the basement, the other side. And I want to turn this into more of like a lounging, relaxing area. And then maybe someday kind of like build like a bar type thing in the back over there. That would be sick. But
Okay, so let me ask this question then. What do you
Yeah.
define as motivation? What is motivation to you?
I guess a drive to get something done.
Okay. Josh?
Well, that'd be determination.
Well,
I was gonna say. So motivation to me would be the excitement, the idea, the concept. You're motivated by this thought that you had, this image that you have
Yes.
placed in your mind. So it's like to me being motivated without looking up the definition, you're getting excited about something that's in your mind that you haven't started to do.
okay. So that's interesting that you bring that up because during my reading on motivation, one of the things as they said is motivation that is a precursor to action is less effective than motivation as a reaction to action.
Isn't it
Whoa.
determination, action, motivation? Isn't it like a circle?
I have no idea if it's a circle or not. I just know this from all the reading and I get it, where if you start cleaning up the basement, let's say, Aaron, right? And you start seeing that progress, that is that motivation, that willingness, that reprioritization of things that you say, you know what, I'm going to dedicate 20 minutes a day, just
Mhm.
whatever. Instead of playing Minecraft for 50 minutes, I'm only going to play for 30 minutes.
Oh, I'm glad you gave me that much.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
instead of you doing that, you do this because you're reprioritizing because you're seeing change be effective.
Yep.
And motivation is really essentially your willingness to engage in an activity,
Mm-hmm.
whether that is going to the gym or that is eating less, working out more, cleaning,
Mm-hmm.
studying, for education purposes, for self edification, or whatever. But the thing is, because you always see those motivational speeches and those
Mhm.
motivational posters like, hang in there, you got it, yay. Or,
Mm-hmm.
those motivational speeches of like, do this and da 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 da, and the world is yours, blah, 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 blah. And those are great. To kind of get you fired up, but that fire only lasts for so long. Think about it when you were in youth group, both of you. You would go to camp, right?
Yep.
And you
I know where you're going.
and you would have that fire, you would have that drive, that like
Mhm.
that camp reignited, gave you that mountaintop experience, thinking, I can do this, I can do anything. And then a week later, you're back looking at the porn you were looking at a week before you went to camp.
So specific. No, yeah.
It's just something I'm throwing out because
Yeah.
we're all guys here and we know that struggle. And
I'm kidding. Don't hurt.
and we know that you could replace any destructive behavior from that in that
Oh, yeah.
place, whether it's doing drugs, premarital sex, whatever.
Yep.
I'm not just limiting it to one, but it's that same sort of thing. You get fired up by these motivational speeches and you're like, I can take on the world. I am going to clean my basement when I get home.
Right.
And then you get home,
Then you see it. It's like, oh,
you see it, you get overwhelmed. Instead of breaking it down into a manageable project, you're like, I need to clean. And then all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, you're like, I'm tired, and it's not clean.
right.
There's change that has happened, but you're not clean
Mm-hmm.
because you're setting your thing way too high. So-
Well, yeah, I was gonna say because this it's kind of funny. I was at a hangout last night with some friends, and so this couple that we were hanging out with, they're like just got into their 70s or something like that, whatever. And I mean, they're talking about just stuff through life and whatnot, and going through it. And the one thing is, for me, well, not just me, I'm sure a ton of younger people, or just honestly anybody at any age, they want to get results now
Mhm.
for the efforts that they put in. And it's like hard doing that whole waiting game type thing. But it's like if you don't start somewhere, you're never gonna see that happen anyway. So I mean, so yeah, as you're saying, like, when I come home from a trip, I'm like, I'm gonna clean this basement, and I see how much of a mess it is. Well, for me, I'm like, oh shoot, well, where do I start? I don't know. I'll worry about it later. Instead of just starting somewhere simple, getting something done, and seeing that get done, will most likely be like, oh, this is sweet, this is nice. And then that's what
Right.
pushes you on to keep doing the rest of it. So it's like taking it in small portions and
Well, it's
working
small,
at it.
manageable
Manageable.
portions at your level.
Mm-hmm.
Like if let's say you, Aaron Johnson, were a clean freak,
Oh.
and cleaning a basement was nothing to you, then yeah, that's your level. That's what you
Right.
expected. But if like me, like if I had a task like that, my task is my life is more towards the disorganized than the organized. Just like apartment wise.
Mm-hmm.
If I set the task of I'm going to clean the entire apartment today. That's not going to happen.
right.
I have to make it more manageable to my goals. Think about it this way. Do you remember that lovely little story when you were a kid? It involved 3 bears, some porridge, and a little girl named Goldilocks.
This one was just right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so if it's kind of the same idea here. If you're going at a task, a target that's too hard, or if you're going at a task or a target that's too hard or too easy, well, if it's too hard, you're going to get discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like, I'm going to clean the entire basement, but you only get like a small corner done. You're going to get discouraged by that at the end of the day.
Oh, right.
But if you go too easy, like, today, I'm going to pick up one piece of paper.
Right. I'm going to get that one thing put away in the spot.
Yeah. But,
Sick.
you know, and I'm not even talking like put it away in a spot. I'm talking like
Oh.
you're going to pick up that one piece of paper and throw it away. You know, something really simple that requires no effort. You're going to get bored of that because it's like, well,
This is a waste.
It's so simple. What am I doing?
Right.
So you need to set the expectation and the goal of the activity you're doing according to what your ability is. And that may change over time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, you know, you were to get motivated to go to the gym.
Woo!
At first, it may be a target,
Right.
but over time, it may expand and grow as capabilities and abilities change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this makes me think back to well, even with like drumming or playing an instrument. I want to be able to play some sick August Burns Red songs that I like, but it's like if I try and jump into that right away, I'm not going to be able to do it. It's going to be over my head for some of it, well, unless
Right.
And that's okay. Granted, so Matt has done this cool thing with like drum lessons where he's taken some of his songs, played through it, but at a slower speed, so it's like easier to learn it that way. But generally, it's like, okay, you have the track and you have to learn it by only listening to the track, kind of thing. So that's a lot of work, at least for some of them.
Well,
but it's like that's the thing is where you set like a realistic goal for yourself. Like for me to jump into it, I'm not going to be able to do it. But if I start somewhere more simple, well, in one, just practicing certain like patterns or whatever, it's doing that slowly and seeing that progress happen over time of practicing. Then you can apply that into learning the other stuff.
Now imagine Josh's triplets when we get them into drums, all 3 into drums. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't give the 5-year-olds August Burns Red to learn.
No.
You give them what is appropriate to their abilities.
Yes. Correct.
Because what happens if you give them something too hard? They get discouraged and they just want to stop and they don't want to continue on. But if you give them something that's at their level, maybe a little challenging.
So yeah, that is
because you feel a sense of accomplishment if you do something that is hard.
Yeah. Oh, and just for me, like this book that I've been going through, started going through. Shut up. It was, this one section of this book. So time signatures and stuff like this.
Yes.
So this book for this one exercise, it has it in a 5/4 time signature, and it has you doing 16th notes, but it has accents spread out, so you only have 4 accents within the whole measure. So it sounds like if you just listen to the accents, it's like counted in 4/4, but it's like, so if you just listen to the accents, you hear 4 accents in the 5/4 measure. So it's like interesting. But then you have your feet doing an opposite rhythm that's off of the accents, and like for me, it was it drove me crazy for a while. But then as soon as I started to see it happen, I was like, oh wait, I got that time. I'm like, woo!
How was that again?
Again, give yourself a challenge of some sort. Obviously not don't shoot for the stars kind of thing, but that was, for me, I thought it was a realistic goal for me to get to, and sure enough, now I can do it no problem without even looking at it. It's just like, oh, it's just like a natural thing I can do now with the accents on the feet and the hands. It's like, oh.
So I think you brought up one important point up there unintentionally. I don't know if you intentionally meant to bring up this point or not. You noticed what you brought up is that you immediately measured the results, because you notice as soon as you got it, you're like, hey, I can do it. And you immediately said, hey, this is something I can do now. Cool. Now I have another thing in my toolbox to use.
Right.
Whether it's that or, Josh noticing that, his triplets all of a sudden have the ability to do drum solos all over his house. You get to
Yeah.
see the immediate new progress.
You'll see, furniture getting dents in it, and it just things getting damaged a little bit over time. It happens. Things get worn out.
It's a good thing that their teacher has an abundance of money.
Not an abundance, a limited source.
Yeah, but it's not the teacher's responsibility to fix your furniture. That's the parents.
Discipline on your part, boy.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably teach Scout how to chew furniture on command when I bring him over here.
Nah, dude. He ain't allowed at this house. No dogs welcome here. I still be welcome. I'll just have a certain part of the house closed off that matters to me.
He's stuck right in that front portion. The whole house matters except for that little hallway.
Yes.
Scott will be very motivated to get through that and onto the
Yeah.
next area. Okay, so we talked kind of a bit about that motivation part.
Mhm.
Part. No,
Yes.
I haven't even had a drink yet. Jeez Louise.
I'm excited.
Oh, that's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, well.
So let me ask this. What? That's fine. What do you do personally? And maybe you haven't thought of this, or maybe you haven't put in this, and I can answer this as well. What do you do personally when motivation starts to fade on a project or a thing that you're doing or a goal that you have set or something like that? Let's start with Josh.
Oof. It's all on you, buddy.
And you can't say that that's never happened, because that has happened to all of us. We've all been motivated to do something, and then that motivation subsides and we fail,
it's-
and we put it to the side for whatever reason.
It's pretty much, you're asking what do we do to get it back?
Yeah, what have you done to maybe continue and push through and remotivate yourself? Or maybe what's some of the stuff that you have looked at, like, maybe I should have done this instead. There, I used the word should. I should never use the word should. Should is a bad word. What are things that you're like, maybe if I did this, it would have helped out?
So that's the question you want me to answer is,
Yeah.
if looking back as to how I've gotten motivation back to doing something, what should I have done differently to get it back?
Well, no. So the question is, what have you done? Like, you're motivated to do. You're motivated to learn to grill. Okay, because I know that was one of your things, and you're on that track for that right now. Okay. That was not convincing.
I haven't grilled in a few weeks, but I mean,
Okay.
realistically, charcoal grilling on a weekday is a little bit of a different story than the
Right.
weekend.
But I'm just
so.
using that as an example. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not saying like anything bad. Okay.
Oh, I know.
That's your goal. That and you have motivation to do it. You got the grill, you got the apron that says "Kiss the Chef." You got the all the stuff. You got the dad bod. You got the dad everything going on, so you can grill properly. And you're doing it, and you kind of lose motivation. What are things that you could use, or have you used, to keep motivated to continue towards your goal of learning to grill? And maybe also, this is like the second part of the question, things that you have done in the past that maybe you lost motivation on. What are some things looking back that you maybe could have done to help you keep motivated on those projects or goals, and etc.?
Well, one of the ways is for me is to get someone else involved. I mean, I like doing things by myself, especially if I know what I'm doing, but at the same time too, having somebody to go through with it with me. How I learn the best is when I use my hands or I do something and then I speak confidently about it to someone else. So I try, depending on what I do, I try to have that happen. One of the things that I did is I wanted to take the shelves down, and I knew I would not the closets down. I knew I was not going to get it done in a weekend by myself. So I said, "Hey, Aaron, you want to do some demolition?" He said, "Yeah."
I like destroying stuff.
And so he came over for, what was it? You were over for maybe 8 hours, 4 hours, 2 days.
So it definitely wasn't. Well, it wasn't 8 hours for 2 days.
How long was it?
It wasn't that long.
He was over for a little bit one day, and then he came back over the next day. But he kind of helped. It was enjoyable to do it, but at the same time, I knew that it's something else I've noticed too. Is when I have somebody doing something with me, I also have like this sense of like, hey, now I can get this done because I can multitask better on a project. So I have a few different ways that I can do it, between kind of being the leader of a situation or taking the lead on something versus not versus, but taking the lead on something, as well as having somebody work with me on something. But then some of the things in the past,
Look, let me ask this: when you were a wrestler, did you ever kind of lose your motivation to go work out and get better at wrestling?
Heck,
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
Oh my
what did you do to power through and keep that motivation to do it?
you're asking a question I can't answer.
What
I-
you didn't have any motivation and you didn't work through it and you didn't continue doing your workouts and that?
No, well, so here's the scoop. I kid you not.
You kids.
When
us now.
summer came, I said, yeah, I'm off. Yeah, it's not season. I'm off season. All right, bring on the burgers, bring on the fast food, bring on the lazy time. No working out.
What about during the school year?
To
During
be
the
honest,
season?
realistically, I had no time during the season to work, to do anything outside of practice. So everything was inside of practice. So one of the only reasons why I kept going to practice is because I had some friends. I had some people that I could work with it on stuff, and I can kind of try to mentor. So kind of that. So as well as I also was my coach's teaching assistant. So if I stopped going to practice, I was really going to hear it. But
Oh, accountability, responsibility, and fear of being yelled at.
yes,
Got it.
yeah,
So easy to summarize.
Boy.
Okay. No, and that's
That's it.
fair. You know, you hear that a lot of, especially high school athletes, and that's fine. Where it's like summer off season, done, don't care. We'll worry about it like a month before season. And
I will say something else is, and I think it's just one of those things where it's challenging because I think the biggest thing that will cause someone, especially myself, to lose motivation is by allowing so many variables to be in the way from, because we were talking that, motivation is more of a reaction of the action, which in a sense would talk about it later, turn into determination.
right,
Because you're like I said, we're talking about that. But once you have between A and B, right? That's if you want your motivation and action to go hand in hand 24/7. That's all the variables you should have. And one of my issues is I would allow more things into the situation or into my life that would allow me to get distracted and pull my attention from different tasks. So if it's me trying to do too many things at once, I would sit there and I would find myself not keeping up with the action, and therefore the motivation would be disappearing.
right. But if you're motivated to get something done, like let's take someone who's really motivated to lose a bunch of weight, right?
Yes.
You would do what if that is like a motivation, something that you are dead ho gun ho on. You will move heaven and hell to move other things around it if you're motivated enough.
But then the question becomes is when does someone have that much motivation? How long does it take before you get to that point of motivation? Because I've sat there and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym. I buy a gym membership. I go 2 or 3 times, and then I'm like, frick, I haven't been there in 3 months.
Oh, gym companies love you, people like you.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
And that's where I was saying the variable portion. So some people, they can get sidetracked by all the variables in place. So what do you got to do with the gym? Well, you have to make time in the day to get to the gym.
Yep.
And to come home from the gym.
Yep.
All right, so you got that. So let's say the average person has to drive anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes to the gym because there's gyms everywhere.
Okay.
You got 30 minutes out of your day you got to drive. All right, now you're at the gym.
Oh, that's real easy. In COVID times, we don't have to drive to work. Most of us.
Yes.
True.
But also gyms were closed when COVID was.
But they're open now.
Yes. So you got 30 minutes you got to drive. Let's say the average person is working, okay, they're not home with the luxury of Paul. So you gotta schedule time to drive. Then you get to the gym, and now it's like, okay, you're first starting off doing this. You gotta find a routine. The hard part is, like Aaron was saying, everybody wants to see results faster than results actually happen. And so now you're sitting there and you're trying this workout or you're trying that workout, and it's like, I'm not seeing the change. And then you sit there and you start taking weights and you start throwing them around in the air, hoping that it does something, right? Just
Are you like a weight wizard? You're like, throw the weights in the air. Abracadabra. Make me muscle. What are you talking
shredded. Anyways, so at that point, your action, there's no results from the action that you're doing, and therefore you're losing motivation. So that's what I'm saying. There's a bunch of variables at play.
Right. And that's where it comes down to, again, you set small, obtainable, the right size goals for where you are at. At beginning, it may be the goal is you go 3 times a week. That's the goal. You don't care about muscle mass, you don't care about weight, you don't care about anything like that. Further on, once you have built that in as a schedule, because how long does it take for something to go from something you just do to a habit?
Something like 30 days, 32 days.
I thought it was 21 days.
I believe it's like around 21 days. Yeah.
Oh,
It's 21 to 30, in that ballpark. It's within a week. So yeah, it's good. But so once you have established the habit, your brain and your body expects you to do that. Now, just because something comes up, like let's say Josh is going to the gym for a month, and then something comes up of Aaron going, "Hey, let's do this." Remember, that's a suggestion. That's not an order. That's not a, you have to do what Aaron just suggested. That's a, hey, you do want to do this. And you can then have to decide based on your motivation, based on your priorities and what you have done. Do you want to continue with what it is? Or do you want to break that up? Yes, there's going to be a lot of things competing for our attention these days, especially now more than ever. We got the internet, which just has endless amounts of stuff for us to do. We have every streaming service under the sun. You have every little thing that is just waiting to grab your eye with attention. So yeah, we're going to have those competing variables. Yeah, we're going to have those things that are going to bombard us. But yes, we're going to have a lot of things competing for our attention. That's not going to change. In fact, it's probably only going to get worse. You're now going to have various companies introducing, augmented reality glasses, where essentially you'll be wearing glasses. There'll be like a computer screen over your glasses. So Josh can be at work shopping at the same time just by moving his eyes around.
That's insane.
We're going to have these things. But are we disciplined enough is a question to stick by those things we said we were going to do. It's the same as, like at work. I have committed to doing these certain things for work. I can do all these fun things at work. They aren't over my back every second. Like, what are you doing? 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 It's, we trust you to get this done. My motivation to get that done is A, I made that commitment to my team, but B, at the same time, I also know that the success or failure of my team depends on some of my work. The success or failure of my future lies within my own grasp. So that's motivation as well, because I'm seeing, as I get some of that work done, I'm seeing the results. I'm seeing how it's impacting others, how it's helping them, or how it's solving an issue that our end users are having. As Aaron goes to the gym, he sees, his shirts fit a little bit looser over the course of a few months. It's not an immediate, he walks in the gym and walks out with a 6-pack. And no, I'm not talking about a 6-pack of beer.
Son of a...
I knew you were going to go there. And so it's hard at times. I look back at some of the things that, projects that I've maybe put aside or didn't continue on with. And I look back and it's like, I wasn't judging it on the long term. I was judging it on the very short term at some points. And in the short term, I wasn't seeing any of those changes. I was just seeing, everything looks static. But if I took a step back and looked at it, it was like, oh, wait, there were changes happening, but I wasn't seeing in that short term because I was measuring that short term the same as the long term. So think about it this way. You go into a gym, right? Your goal is to, let's say, lose 50 pounds. Well, in the short term, if I've only lost 2 pounds, but my long term is 50, but I didn't break it down as lose a pound, my goal is, even my short term is lose 50, my brain goes, oh, that's a failure. You're not even close to 50. But if I go instead, my short term is lose 1. Hey, I accomplished that.
I did it.
I did more than that. Awesome.
Sick.
So I've kind of learned to realize, yes, there's this long-term goal, but what are the short-term goals up to it?
Right.
Because then I can look back and go, hey, I accomplished that. On the day when I don't want to continue on doing whatever this project is, and this could be whatever, gym, podcast, video editing, whatever. I look back, I can still see that long-term goal, what I want to accomplish, but I can look back and say, I had a victory here, I had a victory here, I had a victory here, I had a victory here. I can do the next step because I was able to do all these things previous. And so that's a difference in the way you look at it. And it's a psychological thing, because obviously it doesn't matter if I had those victories or not, in the grand scheme of things, but mentally it makes me feel good. Oh, I was able to do this. And it may be simple, stupid things. I learned how to cut video, Cool. You know, like Aaron, you're going to be learning to edit video, right? It's going to be the simple things at first. Like, cool, I know how to do that. Awesome. Now build upon it. Make it the next step.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you keep motivated. You don't you don't keep motivated by going, here's the raw footage. Here's the raw.
I like that.
Here's the now I'm gonna say it that way. Here's a raw photo. Here's the raw video feed. Here's the raw video over here. And it may be multiple clips, maybe one real long clip. And then, you know, let's say I make a version, like let's say the original video we did for your Whiskey Wednesday stuff or whatever you end up calling
Whatever,
it.
yeah.
And you compare yourself against that immediately. Your first day trying to edit. You're like, I can't do that.
It's
Gonna be rough. And you'll be discouraged and you'll be like, I don't want to try now. Why should I try? I'm just gonna fail. But instead, if you break it up into manageable chunks and say, okay, first thing, learn how to import the video. Cool, I can do that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Next step. How do I get into the editor? Cool. Now how do I chop it up? Cool. And you take it step by step, because then you can say, look, I've come this far. I just need to add one more step onto it.
Right.
And it's that little driver of like, hey, I'm learning something new. And some people, that's all they need as a motivation, is learning something. I know some people like that, where they learn something and they are all for it. Other people, I need to dangle like a carrot, or in your case, a beer in front of your face to get you to take the next step forward, you know?
Right.
And I look at myself, and I'm definitely one of those, I need the small victories that lead up to the big overall victory type deal. And that's where I failed on some projects in the past, is where I didn't break them up. I was studying the forest and not the trees.
Good way to put it.
You know,
I like that.
well, there's that phrase. You know, you look so hard at the forest, you forgot to you see the trees. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're concentrating on the big picture so much, you forget the little tiny details. Or you can do the inverse. You can look at the tiny details so much you forget the big picture. Both
Mhm.
are detrimental. Got to have balance, as in all things, as in the force.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Johnson, have there been projects? So Josh answered his question.
Yeah.
I answered the question. Now it's on you.
It's my turn. No, yeah, there's been plenty of things. I mean, one, I remember when I first got a double pedal for drums and stuff like that, for the bass drum. And there's a song by this band Disciple called Regime Change. And that was like the first song that I've heard that had double bass in it. And I was like, I want to play that. Granted, it wasn't hard. Well, at least looking back at it now, it's not a hard song to do. That was the thing. So I tried to do it and I could not do it. So I got so pissed off. I was like, you know what? I don't even want it anymore. So I packed up the second half of the other pedal, just never touched it. I don't know how long I had it for where I didn't use it. But then, like, I don't know, just like going on doing lessons and stuff like that over the years, like it. So for a drummer, your right foot, well, depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed or however you play. Generally, if you're right-handed, your right foot controls the bass drum pedal. Left foot will be on what's called the hi-hat pedal. And for lessons, my teacher always had me having like my left foot on 2 and 4 and the measure or whatever. And so doing that, I mean, as time went on, he started giving me different exercises to do where it started working on my feet to work, like just do more stuff from each other and be more independent. And again, so yeah, this was at some point after I had originally gotten my double pedal for bass drum. However long time passes, and then I hear August Burns Red. I'm like, wow, I want to be able to play that. So I go to try and play that. Guess what? I can't do it.
And your parents were relieved.
You're right. Little less thumping happening. But after trying August Burns Red, and this is after, you know, my teacher had given me different exercises to kind of do with the feet to kind of get them working separate of each other more so. I went back to that Disciple song and I could finally play the Disciple song. I was like, oh, there's hope. So it's like, I guess one thing is, it can be anything, but it's looking in the past of where you've come from a certain thing. Because I mean, schools, well, it depends. But I guess even school, I mean, if you're still accelerating and you're still going on farther, it's like, okay, you're succeeding to a point. How well are you succeeding? Well, that's how much effort you put into it. But it's like, regardless, it's like you're still gaining ground in moving forward kind of thing. It's not a dead stop all over kind of thing. Like if you keep putting effort into something over time, you might not see it as much as you do as you're going through it. But when you look back on things in life, it's like, wow, wait, think of where I did start with this and look where I'm at now. So for like drumming, guitar, anything, really, well, editing,
Yeah.
so literally anything. It's crazy to look back where, depending on how long you've been doing it, to see your starting grounds versus to where you're at now. Because I mean, and for me, I guess for the drumming part, I've kind of been more discouraged the past couple of years than anything, but mainly it was physical stuff that was keeping me from being able to do stuff I used to be able to do. And that's been discouraging. But even now, so like since I joined like a cover band for a little while, and now I'm in another band with some friends and consistently practicing with them on weekends, and then, just doing more stuff on my own. It's like, wait, a lot of this stuff is like, it's muscle memory's always been there, but now it's getting the strength back to keep doing it endurance wise and stuff like that.
Right.
And seeing that come back, it's like, can do it, just gotta stick with it. And then again, how to do that, one is kind of like, as Josh was saying, bring other people into the picture. Well, it comes to accountability to keep pushing one another through something. Granted, I know Paul's not a drummer, but if there's something that I felt like I really needed help with, or just like some encouragement on from time to time, like, hey, Paul, I'm getting irritated with trying to practice this. But every once in a while, you could be like, hey, how's this going? And like that, just like, well, first couple of times I might be like, well, it's not going at all because I'm not doing I'm not doing it. But it's like to know that people like care about that kind of stuff, or just in general, to see you improve on something. It's like, well, now next time when he asks me this, I want to have something to report about it and get farther. So I mean, it's one. I mean, I guess you could be, I don't know, like that. I guess would encourage me and help motivate me to get stuff on. It's like when people care enough to ask about it, because then it's like, well, I don't know how am I thinking about this? But it's like, when, granted, me drumming might not impact you really.
No, it
But
doesn't.
yeah, see, okay, boom.
But
for
I
some
know
people, it
it's
will.
important to you.
Yeah.
So in that way, it does.
Right. Well, exactly. But because I mean, that's another motivating thing with just stuff. It's like what you could be doing could also help other people in other ways, kind of thing. No, Josh. Okay, I'm not doing anything for you ever. So don't even think I'm trying to. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But in that, and gosh, what else was it? I think if it's something that's important to me now, and this is taking a steer into more like, I guess, personal, like religious kind of stuff, but it's like just like praying about stuff and asking for that help and motivation to keep going on. Because it's like, man, well, yeah, on my own, I mean, I wouldn't be here, I guess, really, because it's like,
how's that again? Okay, just checking. But yeah, but that brings up a good point, and this is religious or not, life continues on, whether you are motivated or not. So the question is, since life is going to continue on, the world doesn't just stop because Josh decides he wants to stop learning how to grill.
Nah, dude.
So knowing that the world is going to continue on next year, do you want to have more grilling skills, or the same or less than now? The world continues, whether you like it or not.
It does.
And sometimes we get so frightened by that concept of, like, it almost feels like the world's going to stop, get scared about stuff. Also, here's another thing I've learned. Discomfort is temporary.
Yeah.
We may not enjoy whatever it is at that time, whether it be project working on, the gym, grilling because you burned your hand on the grill because you didn't realize you don't touch fire. I hope you realize you don't touch fire, Josh.
I learned that at a very young age.
Don't grab the coals, even if they're not like orange after using them.
Especially if they're white, don't touch them.
when you see a silver pan on the stove and you see steam coming from the inside, but the silver pan looks like it's the same as if when it comes out of the, mom and dad washing it, and you do this, then you realize it's very deceptive.
It's hot.
But you also realize pain is temporary. Discomfort is temporary. You only had that burning sensation on your hands for maybe hours or days, depending on how bad it was.
Right.
And that burn that was temporary taught me something forever.
Right. But you ended up on the other side better.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully.
I do
No,
want
Josh now has a thing where he has to touch all burning objects.
We're gonna have some fun with this.
get those
I will.
exhaust pipes roasting, buddy.
I will say something to kind of spin off where you were saying, people might get scared. I think one of the other things, especially with our generation, is we're told to live our lives the way we want to live it because we don't have that long. And I feel like, as a kid, one of the issues that I had is my dad phrased it as, you're a jack of all trades, but you're a master of none. And I would always try to learn various things, but I was trying to do so much because I felt like I didn't have enough time. And as I've gotten older, it's like, well, suck it up, Buttercup. You're not a
This
wizard.
phrase again.
You can't sit there and learn 10 things in a week. It's going to take you probably 3 years to learn these 10 things, to master them at the very least. So you got to choose what you want to do first. That was one of my issues when I was a kid, because I would sit there and I would get upset because I would tell my dad, I said, Dad, I'm not getting better with this. Well, you're trying to do this and this and this and this. So of course you're not going to see results anytime soon.
Whereas my job is to literally be a jack of all trades and master of none. That is literally my job. That's why I was like, you start telling that. I'm just, they're like, that's me. That literally is my job.
Well, at a certain point in
but
in
no,
time,
but I get what you're saying, because your attention is divided so many ways. You can't
comprehend everything.
Well, I wouldn't say comprehend. You can't master it. You can comprehend as the essentials, the basics. 2 + 2 = 4, but you never learned that 2 × 2 = 4. Because by the time you learn 2 + 2 = 4, you're now moving on to English, and English is just a very complex, annoying language.
Yeah.
Which I can't even master or speak properly. Fotage.
Fotage.
I
like it.
Now I need to learn how to pronounce that properly. Regardless, so you're moving from one to the next, to the next, to the next. Some jobs and some professions require you to master a specific skill set.
Yes.
Like if you do not master how to fix a plane, I want to know where you will be working so I will never fly there.
Yeah.
If you're shopping during all of your classes,
Oh no.
That's gonna happen.
I do not want to be flying on any of the planes that you fix. Ever. However, if you dedicate and you have the motivation that I get through this, I get certified, I have a good job, and that's your motivation, you stick to it and you master the concept of fixing planes, then yeah, I will do that. As long as you're not shopping while fixing a plane.
No.
See, say that now.
No. Because I looked at a buddy at work and he goes, Josh, they're going to teach you what you need to learn in the field. I said, I don't want to get to the field needing to learn to be taught. Okay. I want to know everything I need to know basic wise going in. Because there's something.
Well,
Okay.
basic wise.
Well, yeah, it's just, yes. But I mean, anybody can go to school and do what they need to do to pass. Anybody.
Me.
Okay. Okay. You don't actually have to sit there and try to comprehend it. All you have to do is find out how to ace it. That's all you got to do.
Oh, I didn't ace it. I seed it.
Okay. That's all you got to do is see it. See it, be it, ace it. Okay. You don't actually have to soak it up. But what I was telling my buddy is I want to know that I'm walking into a job where, because this is kind of like my last chance, like my last strut, I'm at that point to where school, and then after school, it's 2 or 3 years, and
It's
family. Time to start the family.
Whoa.
It's never your last chance, because you have grandmas in their 80s and 90s getting bachelor degrees. So, I mean, well, no,
See, you're always
Josh is
growing
an
up.
old man, so he's like 80 or 90 already.
But you're gonna say
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't.
Um,
Don't try and describe. I do know. I'm just joking right now. I swear.
Ideally, I would like to have found my career before the family starts, the kids.
See,
And that's a little bit of the impatient side of me, because at the same time, it's, God's got an idea for me. Like, I was just thinking about it today, and I'm like, as much as my current work situation, as much as it drives me up the wall, and I kind of regret working there for 6 years, it taught me a thing or two about management, about interaction with employees, how to deal with certain problems. But the other thing too, the blessing in disguise that I did not realize it, is God allowed me
to have a job where I was still living at home and I made enough money to be able to save so that I could go to school for a year and not have to worry about mortgage. So,
I want to bring something up. You're sounding like an old 30-year-old.
how?
Just you're like, because I worked for 6 years. I'm just saying, you're not even close to 30.
No, I'm not.
You're a young strapping buck still,
Yeah.
about
I
to
don't know
have
about-
triplets.
I don't know about strapping. I got probably a 36 pack sitting right here.
You got a dad bod already.
I do
You're
have
already
dad
ready
bod.
for the triplets.
I'm not ready for the triplets. I can't keep up with the dog. I can't keep up with the triplets.
You're-
Scout's already around the corner on the backside of the property by the time I get up to full speed. That only lasts for 30 feet
Yeah, well, wait until the triplets and they learn to run.
in all opposite directions.
And Scout will teach them to run.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No, Scout will sit there, jump up, and try to pull me down while I try to chase after him.
Yeah, because
He's going to let them get away.
Yeah, dogs know how to protect the kids, and that they will be up. Yeah, but yes. So I just want to bring that up because you were sounding like you're like a big old 30-year-old.
Oh no,
You're
no,
not.
no,
You're
no,
you're
no.
you're a youngin. You're a youngin.
But like I was saying, part of me is hoping to have the career set, have a job somewhere that is solid that I could work at for 15, 20 years. But I know I see that face, Paul. I don't know. I don't know.
The reason I say that is your generation, like it's an anomaly for someone of your generation to be at a job for 6 years.
I've been at my job for 6 years.
That's an anomaly.
And if they paid me well and they
And
had a bunch of other stuff, I probably would be there longer.
when I say anomaly, you've been there too long.
Yes, I know from my generation.
Yeah.
So that should tell something about my future. It should tell something. To my future employers.
You're probably gonna have, and this is true of like anyone like under 40 right now. So this is me too. By the time you retire, you're probably gonna have
2 or 3 more jobs.
I'd say 3 or 5.
What?
Yeah.
What? By the time I'm 40?
No, by the time you retire.
Oh, by 65.
I said 40 and under right now.
By the time we retire, it'll like go up to like 75 or something like that.
yeah.
well,
'cause,
yeah.
You know,
Well-
Social Security's gonna be gone.
Well, no, it depends. So it depends on what year you were born, what your retirement age is. You have to look that up on Social Security.
Oh,
For me, it's not even 65. For me, it's like 68, 69 already.
Yeah. You
So that means for you all, it's gonna
It's
be like in your
90.
70s.
it's gonna be. We're gonna be 90.
I'm
Because-
not gonna make it to retirement. I'm gonna die.
He's gonna sit
Then they
there
don't have to pay you Social Security.
when he sits there. He retires. He's gonna scrape up the last of the Social Security, and they're gonna be like, "All right, gotta restructure it. Everybody's gonna lose half
No.
their paycheck."
I'm not retiring in the next 5 years.
Can't you like to a point choose your retirement age?
Yes.
To a point, but depending on when you retire, depends on.
It just depends on the benefits you get
yeah,
from retiring. Yeah.
yeah.
So I could retire
there's-
right now, but I ain't getting diddly squat.
Yes.
And you're not a millionaire, so
No, so I'm screwed.
yeah.
Yes.
So yes, just letting you know, and that includes me too.
Dude, Velper. for life.
40 and under.
But I mean, being able to sit there and bringing in money, starting to rack up years of experience, so that if I do need a job, switch, I can sit there and say, "Hey, I got this many years in the field." So it's not like
So
like
what?
not where I am right now.
So
Right
what-
now, I'm doing a complete career field change. I'm just starting all the way from scratch.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you're appreciating the good work that you're doing, and that is motivation to help forward to do more good work. Yes? No?
So
What do you mean by good work?
oh my gosh.
What?
I just realized why your computer was doing what it was doing on the keyboard. It's the levels of the audio.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Really?
So as it was playing music, look, that is
waveform.
awesome. What the heck? That is so cool.